Hello and welcome aspirants. How are you? Yesterday only I have given explanation regarding UPSC CSAT to 2022, but yesterday we have only covered reasoning and quantitative aptitude part. But today we are going to look at the reading comprehension part, which is many students feel very tricky. So without any further ado, let's start with the questions. Before that, I want to remind you that yesterday I have covered 53 questions from quant and reasoning part. So after watching this video, please go and cover that video also. Plus, our faculty have covered the GS paper also. So you can use that video also and get the correct answers, right? So first of all, welcome to infinityIASAcademy. My name is Praveen Akkanur and we are here to look at the comprehension part of the UPSC CSAT 2022. In your comments, you can give your experiences about the paper. According to me, this year's paper was quite, the difficulty level was from easy to moderate. So there was no difficult part as such, and especially comprehension part. The major change this year was there were few passages with 2 or 3 questions of traditional nature. UPSC has abandoned this pattern since 2015-16. Okay, they started asking one question per passage, per smaller passage. This year's passages were a little lengthy, but every passage carried at least 2 or 3 questions. There were few smaller passages with one question only. But overall difficulty level was easy to moderate. Yesterday also I have explained that the structure or the composition of the question paper. There were 37 questions from quant part, mathematical part, and in which basic mathematics was given more emphasis. Reasoning carried 16 questions. That means both these sections covered 53 questions. Remaining 27 were from reading comprehension, which we are going to cover today. So let's start with the first question. Now you can read these passages along with me. If you don't have question paper with you, you can read from here also. I'll read slowly. Passage number 1. The main threat to maintaining progress in human development comes from the increasingly evident unsustainability of production and consumption patterns. Current production models rely heavily on fossil fuels. We now know that this is unsustainable because the resources are finite. The close link between economic growth and greenhouse gas emissions need to be severed for human development to become truly sustainable. Some developed countries have begun to alleviate the worst effects by expanding recycling and investing in public transport and infrastructure. But most developing countries are hampered by the high cost and low availability of clean energy sources. Developed countries need to support developing countries transition to sustainable human development, right? So this passage belongs to environment part, sustainable development, and what needs to be done to achieve sustainable development. What developed countries are doing and what developing countries need to do, where they are failing. This is the overall crux of the passage, right? So let's check the questions. Unsustainability in production pattern is due to which of the following? Okay, first half part. Unsustainability in production pattern is due to which of the following? Heavy dependence on fossil fuels. Now remember, this wording you cannot find directly in the passage. You have to gauge, you have to analyze the passage So you will find heavy dependence on fossil fuels. There is mention of fossil fuels. See, current production models rely heavily on fossil fuels. So it is actually directly given. So first option is correct. Limited availability of resources. Because the resources are finite. In passage it is given in a positive form. Positive form means there is no negative term, no, not. Such words are not used. Resources are finite. If you convert this statement into negative form, it will be like this: limited availability, or no resources, or not abundant resources. So resources are finite means there is limited availability of resources. So second statement is also correct. Third statement is expansion of recycling. Now there is mention of recycling, right? But it is in positive sense. Some developed countries have begun to elevate the worst effects by expanding recycling. Actually, it is a solution. It is not the problem. It is the solution, right? So this cannot be the answer. Question is, unsustainability in production pattern is due to which of the following? These are the reasons of unsustainability. This is the solution for unsustainability, expansion of recycling. So option 1 and 2 are correct. So such option is mentioned in option number A, 1 and 2 only, right? So third, expansion of recycling is in fact a solution against unsustainability. So that's why that cannot be the answer. Second question is, consider the following statements. Consider the following statements. Developed countries can support developing countries' transition to sustainable human development by. Developed countries can support developing countries' transition to sustainable human development by. This is mentioned in the last part. But most developing countries are hampered by the high cost and low availability of clean energy sources. High cost. They are facing high cost as a problem and low availability of clean energy sources. So these are two problems. Developed countries need to support. In which way? Now let's check the option. Making clean energy sources available at low cost. Because high cost is a hampering problem for developing countries. So first option is correct. Providing loans for improving their public transport at nominal interest rates. Now this is a point of debate, right? You can say that this is a right answer or wrong in any way. Let's check third option. Encouraging them to change their production and consumption patterns. Now look at the passage. Unsustainability का main reason क्या बताया उन्होंने? The main threat to maintaining progress in human development comes from the increasing evident unsustainability of production and consumption. Unsustainability of production and consumption patterns. Production और consumption patterns के जो ways है, जो right now जो methods है, वही सबसे बड़ा threat है. So encouraging them to change their production and consumption patterns would be a correct answer also. So first and third is correct, but there is no option as 1 and 3. So 1, 2 and 3. This option is right because by helping them economically, financially, they will take the burden of the high cost of the hampered by the high cost. So that high cost will be mitigated with the loans. Exactly. So all three options are correct. So option number D is right here. Next passage is, unless the forces and tendencies which are responsible for destroying the country's environment are checked in the near future and afforestation of denuded areas is taken up on a massive scale, the harshness of the climatic conditions and soil erosion. The harshness of the climatic condition and soil erosion by wind and water will increase to such an extent that agriculture, which is the mainstay of our people, will gradually become impossible. Again, this is a passage from environment, right? It speaks about soil erosion and all. The desertification. The desert countries of the world and our own desert areas in Rajasthan are a grim reminder of the consequences of large-scale deforestation. Large-scale deforestation. pockets of desert-like landscape are now appearing in other parts of country, including the Satluj Ganga plains and Deccan Plateau, where only a few decades back there used to be lush green forest with perennial streams and springs. There is only brown earth, bare vegetation, without any water in the streams and springs except in the rainy season. Except in the rainy season. So they have explained the effects of deforestation in the denuded area. And right now the threat is those areas who were lush green previously, they are now being desertified also. So this is the main message or main crux of the passage. Now let's look at the questions. According to the passage given above, deforestation and denudation will ultimately lead to which of the following? Now we have read the passage. Just look at the options here. According to the passage given above, deforestation and denudation will ultimately lead to which of the following? Depletion of soil resource. Exactly. And make a habit to underline the important words you feel while reading. Right. Now I have underlined brown earth. These are the effects. Bare vegetation, brown earth, without any water in the streams. That means water scarcity. Right. So brown earth. What is brown earth? Brown earth means what? The color of sand is brown. So desertified land. Depletion of soil resource. Correct. Shortage of land for the common man. Now shortage of land for common man means what? There is no purpose given. For agriculture, we would have it would have been understandable if for agriculture had been mentioned here. For agriculture, that would have been understandable. But they haven't written anything. They haven't written any purpose for shortage of the land for the common man. So this cannot be correct. Lack of water for cultivation, that is also correct. Okay? Without any water in the streams. So that is also correct answer. So 1 and 3, option number C are the correct answers. Next passage. This is an interesting passage. Now look at the subjects of the passage. First two were from environment, few are from philosophy, few are from political polity. Now look at this passage. In simple matters like shoemaking, we think only a specially trained person will serve our purpose. But in politics, we presume that everyone who knows how to get votes, knows how to administer a state. When we are ill, we call for a trained physician. When we are ill, we call for a trained physician whose degree is a guarantee of specific preparation and technical competence. We do not ask for the handsomest physician or the most eloquent one. Well then, when the whole state is ill, should we not look for the service and guidance of the wisest and the best? Interesting passage. They are saying that we always look at the caliber or the qualification of any person, like a shoemaker, like a physician. We look at their degree and their qualification. But while choosing an administrator or a politician or a minister, we do not look at their qualification or whether they are able to administer a state or not. We don't pay attention towards it. So this is the crux of the passage. Which of the following statements best reflect the message of the author of the passage? What is the message given here? What is the message given here? Yes. Which one of the following statements best reflect the message of the author of the passage? Look at first option. We assume that in a democracy, any politician is qualified to administer a state. Now, this is a generalized statement and somebody can feel that it is right. We assume that in a democracy, any politician is qualified to administer a state. This statement is in concurrence with the passage, but it is not actually right. Not any politician. Here is the mention. We presume that everyone who knows how to get votes, that more votes. So that is wrong. Politicians should be selected from those trained in administration. Now this is also seems right. Let's check next options. We need to devise a method of barring incompetence from public office. That is actually right. We need to devise a method of barring incompetence from public office. And fourth option is, as voters select their administrators, the eligibility of politicians to administer a state cannot be questioned. Nowhere in this passage we cannot sense this feeling that we cannot question anything. If we have voted for particular politician, we cannot question. ऐसा कहीं पे भी इधर sense नहीं होता है. So that is a wrong. So there is a conflict between option number B and C, and few questions are there where their subjectivity plays a role, right? So nobody can claim that all answers given by that person are rights, right? So let's check B. Politicians should be selected from those trained in administration, right? Trained in administration. But in the last statement, when the whole state is ill, should we not look for the service and guidance of the wisest and the best? According to the passage, we must choose politicians who are wisest and the best. They could have said well trained. Actually it is implied, but it is not exactly said here. And only training is not enough. That person must be wise, and that person must be the best among his competitors, his or her competitors. So only training is not enough. That's why my assumption is that this option is wrong. Okay, that is my subjectivity. But we need to devise a method of barring incompetence from the public office. That is a definitely correct answer. So according to me, option number C must be right. Option number C must be correct for question number 11. Look at question number 12. Now this passage carries, I think, 3 questions. Question number 12, 13 and 14. So some passages which are little lengthy, they carry more than 1 or more than 2 questions. So it is a win-win situation, because for all 3 questions you have to refer only one passage. You have to keep your thinking process linked to only one passage. Now let's read the passage. Now it is about poverty. So some passages are from socio-economic subjects or topics. I'll read the passage. The poverty line is quite unsatisfactory when it comes to grasping the extent of poverty. The poverty line is quite unsatisfactory when it comes to grasping the extent of poverty in India. It is not only because of its extremely narrow definition of who is poor and the debatable methodology used to count the poor, but also because of a more fundamental assumption underlying it. More fundamental assumption underlying it. खाली पण करतात. The poverty line is quite unsatisfactory when it comes to grasping the extent of poverty in India. It is not only because of its extremely narrow definition of who is poor and the debatable methodology used to count the poor, but also because a more fundamental assumption underlying it. More fundamental assumption underlying. What is that fundamental assumption? It exclusively relies on the notion of poverty as insufficient income or insufficient purchasing power. One can better categorize it by calling it income poverty. If poverty is ultimately about deprivations affecting human well-being, then income poverty is only one aspect of it. Poverty of a life, in our view, lies not merely in the impoverished state in which the person actually lives, but also in the lack of real opportunity given by social constraints as well as personal circumstances to choose other types of living. Even the relevance of low incomes, meager possessions, and other aspects of what are standardly seen as economic poverty relate ultimately to their role in curtailing capabilities, that is, their role in severely restricting the choices people have to lead variable and valued lives. Right? So, पेन select करायचं. Just a minute. Okay. Let's see. This whole passage is about poverty and our definition of poverty, right? According to the passage, what is the crux of the passage? That poverty is multidimensional. But while formulating a poverty line, only income poverty is considered. Income poverty is considered, but there are many other facets of poverty, right? Poverty of a life is a umbrella term, and income property, that is which is dependent on your income and remunerations, right? But other social constraints, personal circumstances are not considered while formulating a poverty line. So that is the main crux of this passage. Now let's look at the question. Why is the methodology adopted in India to count the poor debatable? Why the methodology adopted in India to count the poor is debatable? This diagram will answer your question. Let's check the options. There is some confusion regarding what should constitute the poverty line. Actually, there is no confusion. There is no confusion because other facets are expressed in the passage itself. If there would have been confusion, it would have been mentioned in the passage. But other constraints like personal circumstances, social constraints, real opportunity, lack of opportunity is also a reason of poverty. So first option is wrong. There are wide diversities in the condition of the rural and urban poor. There is no comparison about rural and urban poor has been given. C, option number C. There is no uniform global standard for measuring income poverty. This is also not mentioned. Actually, there are very much methods to calculate measuring income poverty worldwide, but it is not in our scope. Fourth option, D, it is based on the proposition of poverty as meager income or buying capacity. Mere income or buying capacity. Now look at this graph. I have said that poverty is multidimensional and only one, that is income poverty, is considered while defining a poor or while formulating a poverty line. Fourth option says the same, that it is based on the proposition of poverty as a meager income or buying capacity. That's why option number 4 is correct. Option number 4 is correct. Understand? Next question. Question number 13. Why is income poverty only one measure of counting the poor? It talks of only one kind of deprivation, ignoring all others. Same diagram. Why is income poverty Why is income poverty only one measure of counting the poor? Because it talks of only one kind of deprivation, ignoring all others. It is ignoring all others, that is social constraints, lack of opportunities, personal circumstances. These all form the, these all constitute to the concept of poverty of life. Poverty of life. That's why income property is an insufficient way to decide poor. There is no need to look at the other options. Still will give some attention. Other deprivations in a human life have nothing to do with lack of purchasing power. It is not said. We cannot conclude this. Income poverty is not a permanent condition. It changes from time to time. Income poverty is not a permanent condition. It changes from time to time. That is true, but that is not relevant to our question. Income poverty restricts human choices only at a point of time. That is also not relevant. So option number A is correct. Question number 14. What does the author mean by poverty of life? What does author mean by poverty of life? Same poverty of life which I have drawn. Same diagram is giving you all the answers, because this is crux of this passage. This is crux of this passage. You must be able to find the crux, find the central message, find the central theme of the passage. So what does the author mean by poverty of life? All deprivations in a human life which stem not only from lack of income but lack of real opportunities. That is correct. Impoverished state of poor people in rural and urban areas. No connection. Rural urban disparity यहाँ पे mention ही नहीं की. Missed opportunities in diverse personal circumstances. Not only opportunities but income poverty is also important. That is one aspect. So comprehensive definition would be option A. Material as well as non-material deprivations in a human life which restrict human choices permanently. Material and as well as non-material deprivations in a human life which restrict human choices permanently. So option number A, because there is clear mention of income poverty as well as lack of opportunities. So option number A is correct. Read next passage. In some places of the world, the productivity of staples such as rice and wheat has reached a plateau. Plateau means what? Saturation level. Plateau means what? Saturation level. Neither new strains nor fancy agrochemicals are raising the yields, nor is there much unfarmed land left that is suitable to be brought under the plough. Unfarmed land, nor is the unfarmed land left that is suitable to be brought under the plough. If global temperature continues to rise, some places will become unsuitable for farming. Application of technology can help overcome these problems. Application of technology can help overcome these problems. Agricultural technology is changing fast. Agricultural technology is changing fast. Much of this change is brought about by affluent farmers in the West or Americas. Techniques developed in the West are being adapted in some places to make tropical crops more productive. Technology is of little use if it is not adopted. Technology is of little use if it is not adopted. In the developing world, that applies as much to existing farming techniques as it does to the latest advances in the genetic modification. Extending to the smallholders and subsistence farmers of Africa and Asia, the best of today's agricultural practices in such simple matters as how much fertilizers to apply and when would lead to greatly increase availability of food and humanity, so would things like better roads and storage facilities to allow for the carriage of surpluses to markets and reduce wastage. Storage facilities, better roads, right? So underline the important words. Now look at the first question. This is about the increase in productivity. When will it productivity will increase? Reason is given here. Application of technology can help overcome these problems, right? So first question, based on the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. Based on the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. Development of agricultural technology is confined to developed countries. Now some phrases, some words are very important. Confined to means limited. Development of agricultural technology is confined to developed countries. Is that so? No. It is not limited to developed countries only, because see, these methods are being adapted in some places to make tropical crops more productive. They are somewhere used in the tropical regions also. So it is not confined to. Developing countries don't have the access. That's why we can say that right now the proportion is less, but agricultural technology is not confined to developed countries only. It can be used from the developing countries also. Agricultural technology is not adapted in developing countries. Agricultural technology is not adapted. Adapt करने के लिए पहले एक्सेस तो होना चाहिए, एक्सेस ही नहीं है, इसलिए तो बोला है कि डेवलप कंट्रीज कैन हेल्प डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज. सो both assumptions, neither one nor two. Option number D. Based on the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. Again, question from assumption. Poor countries need to bring about change in their existing farming techniques. Yes, existing farming techniques must be changed from the poor countries. In the developing world, that applies as much to existing farming techniques. Existing farming techniques change करने के बाद ही productivity बढ़ेगी. Developed countries have better infrastructure and they waste less food. Now they do have better infrastructure, but they waste less food. ये हम कह नहीं सकते, क्योंकि स्टोरेज फैसिलिटी ना होने की वजह से डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में वेस्टेज होता है. बट देयर माइट बी अनदर रीजंस इन डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज आल्सो. अमेरिका और यूरोप जैसी कंट्रीज में other reasons are there. That's why wastage of foods उधर भी होता है. So this statement cannot be true. So only one. एक कौन सा assumption कर सकते हैं इस क्वेश्चन से हम? Only one only. Question number 23. Based on the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. Growing enough food for future generations will be a challenge. Yes, इसके लिए तो सब इतना बड़ा पैसेज दिया उन्होंने. कमेंट येत आहेत का तसे? परत करू. ओके. Okay, now read this. In some places in the world, the productivity of staples such as rice और wheat का जो प्रोडक्टिविटी है वो सैचुरेशन लेवल तक पहुंच गया है. अगर प्रोडक्टिविटी रेज करनी हो तो उसके लिए सॉल्यूशन क्या बताया इधर? टेक्नोलॉजी, एग्रीकल्चरल टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज करनी चाहिए. सो growing enough food for future generation will be a challenge, and that's why new technology has to be adapted. Corporate farming is a viable option for food security in poor countries. There is no mention of corporate farming in the passage. So this is a wrong statement. only one assumption can be made, that is option number E, one only. Growing enough food for future generations will be a challenge, and to tackle that challenge, what needs to be done? Agricultural technology must be adapted. Next passage. Next passage is from science, right? Natural selection cannot anticipate future environments on the earth. Natural selection cannot anticipate future environments on the earth. Therefore, the set of existing organisms can never be fully prepared for environmental catastrophes that await life. Therefore, the set of existing organisms can never be fully prepared for environmental catastrophes that await life. An outcome of this is the extinction of those species. Extinction of those species which cannot overcome environmental adversity. Which cannot overcome environmental adversity. This failure to survive in modern terms can be attributed to the genomes which are unable to withstand geological vagaries or biological mishaps such as infections, diseases, and so on. In biological evolution on the earth, extinction of species has been a major feature. Extinction of species has been a major feature. The earth may presently have up to 10 million species. 10 million species, yet more than 90% of species that have ever lived on the earth are now extinct. Once again, the creationist doctrines fail to satisfactorily address why a divine creator will firstly bother to create millions of species and then allow them to perish. The Darwinian explanation for extinct life is once again simple, elegant, and convincing. Organisms go extinct as a function of environmental or biological assaults. Organisms go extinct as a function of environmental or biological assaults, for which their inheritance deems them ill-equipped. Therefore, the so-called Darwinian theory of evolution is not a theory at all. Evolution happens, this is a fact. Evolution happens, this is a fact. The mechanism of evolution, Darwin proposed natural selection, is amply supported by scientific data. Amply supported by scientific data. Indeed, to date, no single zoological, botanical, geological, paleontological, genetic, or physical evidence has refuted either of the central two main Darwinian ideas. Either of the central two main Darwinian ideas. If religion is not taken into consideration, if religion is not taken into consideration, Darwinian laws are acceptable just like the laws proposed by Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, and Einstein, sets of natural laws that explain natural phenomena in the universe. डार्विन के बारे में बताया है, क्या बताया है कि सी प्रीवियस स्लाइड पे जाते हैं. Natural selection, extinction, how a species get extincted. There are two reasons. One is environmental adversity and second is biological mishaps. डार्विन ने भी अपने थ्योरी में यही बताया है. See, Darwinian explanation for extinct life is once again simple, elegant, and once convincing. Organisms go extinct as a function of environmental or biological assaults. और इसी वजह से for that reason Darwin's theory is still relevant, and they are saying it is not a theory at all because it has been practically proved. So इसको एक mere theory नहीं बोल सकते. और आगे बोलता है कि उसकी theory को refute, contradict करने वाला कोई नया theorem अभी तक नहीं आया है. That's why Darwin is at par with Copernicus, Galileo, Newton and Einstein, जिन्होंने they gave us the sets of natural laws that explain natural phenomena in the universe. So first question, according to the passage, natural selection cannot anticipate future environments on the earth because, or as according to the passage, natural selection cannot anticipate future environments on the earth as. Now this is an easy question. Why? Because look at the options. Every option consists of 3 sub options. 1, 2, 3, 4 में से 3. So we don't need to find 3 correct answers. We just need to find 1 wrong answer. First, species not fully prepared to face the environmental changes that await them will face extinction. Extinction के 2 reason मैंने बताए passage से. One is environmental, second is biological. So first statement में तो बोला है कि environmental changes होने की वजह से species जो cope up नहीं करती वो extinct हो जाती. All the existing species would get extinct as their genomes will not withstand biological mishap. सबसे important word है all the existing species. Is it possible that all the existing species would get extinct? No. Those species whose genomes will not withstand biological mishaps will get extinct, but not all. So this is a wrong statement. So here only you got the answer, that 1, 3, 4. That is option number C. Let's check another options. Inability of the genome to withstand environmental changes would result in extinction. Correct. Environmental and biological. 2 reasons. Extinction of species is a common feature. Yes. Why common feature? Because in the passage itself, they have said that, see, extinction of species has been a major feature. Why? Because 90% of the species have been extincted. Till now, 90% species have been extincted. So it is a common feature. So fourth is also correct. So 1, 3, 4. Option number C is correct. Question number 32. The passage suggests that Darwinian theory of evolution is not a theory at all. Because, why it is not a theory? Because it is practically proven. No other evidence has been found which contradicts the Darwin's theory. So it does not satisfy the creationist doctrine. What is creationist doctrine? That means there is some creator who has created all this world and universe. So this is wrong. Darwin's theory doesn't need to satisfy the creationist doctrine because it is a fictitious account. Extinction is a function of environment and biological assault. This is said by Darwin. Extinction is a function of environment and biological assaults. And that is what modern science says. Till now, the same principle is applicable. That's why this is the correct. There are no evidences to refute it. Mere just not having evidences which are refuting it is not sufficient to prove that Darwin's theory is not mere theory. So this is wrong. This is insufficient. Existence of organisms is attributed to creator. No. So only option number B is correct. Because Darwin's theory is in accordance with the modern findings also. That extinction is a phenomena which occurs due to environmental and biological mishaps. Question number 33. With reference to the passage, the following assumptions have been made. Look at 3 assumptions given. Only species that have the ability only species that have the ability to overcome environmental catastrophes will survive and perpetuate. जो species have ability to overcome environmental catastrophes will survive and perpetuate. Correct. More than 90% of the species on the earth are in the danger of getting extinct due to drastic changes in the environment. 90% ये फिगर दिया है पैसेज में, लेकिन उसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट अलग है. पैसेज में कहा है कि अब तक 90% स्पेसीज हैव बीन एक्सटिंक्टेड, but here it is saying more than 90% of the current species on the earth are in the danger, which is not in accordance with the passage. Darwin's theory explains all the natural phenomena. No, not all. पैसेज में क्या कहा है? See, Darwinian laws are acceptable just like the laws proposed by Copernicus, Galileo, Newton and Einstein. Sets of natural laws. इन सब ने मिलके और इनके अलावा भी और लोगों ने मिलके कुछ नेचुरल लॉज हमें दिए हैं. सो डार्विन इज पार्ट ऑफ इट, बट वी कैन नॉट से दैट more than or Darwin's theory explains all the natural phenomena. We cannot say that. He has given some laws but not all, so it is an extreme statement, so this is wrong. So only one, option number A is correct. Next passage. With steady economic growth, higher literacy and increasing skill levels, the number of Indian middle class families has gone up. With steady economic growth, higher literacy and increasing skill levels, the number of Indian middle class families has gone up exponentially. Direct results of the affluence, that means richness, have been changes in dietary patterns and energy consumption levels. People have moved to a higher protein based diet like milk products, fish and meat, all of which need significantly more water to produce than cereal based diets. Increasing use of the electronic and electric machine gadgets and motor vehicle needs more and more energy, and generation of energy needs water. Right? So what is the purpose of this passage? Because of the changing lifestyles or changing economic levels, some habits of Indian middle class have changed, and those habits demand more water. That is the crux of the passage, right? Dietary patterns change हो गए, उसके लिए डाइट में फिश, मिल्क प्रोडक्ट्स, मीट एटसेट्रा बढ़ गए, जिसकी वजह से वाटर also demand for water has been increased. Also electronic gadgets, motor vehicles needs more and more energy, and generation of energy needs water, right? So that is the theme of this passage. Look at the question. Which of the following statements best reflects the crux of the passage? Let's check. People should be persuaded to continue with the mainly Indian traditional cereal based diets. No, that is not the purpose of passage. The passage has given some observations, right? So this is not the purpose to change or to persuade the Indian traditional cereals, the eating habits persuade करना लोगों की, ये इसका purpose नहीं है. Second, B, India needs to focus on developing agricultural productivity and capacity for more energy generation in coming years. Energy generation बढ़ाना ये भी उसका purpose नहीं है, capacity of energy. The purpose is related to water only, right? Modern technological developments result in the change of cultural and social behavior of the people. Modern technological developments result in the change of cultural and social behavior. That is one of the observations. That is one of the observation, but not the crux. The water management practices in India need to change dramatically in the coming years. That is the correct option. Because what is the result of all these changes in the lifestyles? Water. Water का जो consumption है वो बढ़ रहा है. So water management practices in India need to चेंज ड्रामेटिकली, उस पर काम होना जरूरी है. लेट्स टेक 2 minutes ब्रेक. Yes, hello again. Next passage, question number 41 to 41, 42 are based on this passage. For 2 or 3 generations past, ever increasing numbers of individuals have been living as workers merely. ठीक है, not as human beings. An excessive amount of labor is ruled today in every circle of society. Excessive amount of labor is ruled today in every circle of society, with the result that man's spiritual element cannot thrive. He finds it very difficult to spend his little leisure in serious activities. He does not want to think, or he cannot even if he wants to. He seeks not self-improvement but entertainment, which would enable him to be mentally idle and to forget his usual activities. Therefore, the so-called culture of our age is dependent more on cinema than on theatre, more on newspapers, magazines and crime stories than serious literature. Right? So workaholic nature of a man, of a today's man, has been explained here, and what he is missing right now. He is not indulged in serious literature, or he is not pondering over self-improvement. That is the crux of this passage. And what is the reason for that? That he is working excessively, excessive amount of labor. That's why he is not getting ample amount of time to give for himself. That is the main theme of this passage. Let's look at the questions. The passage is based on the idea that, central idea. The passage is based on the central idea. Which idea has been mentioned here? Man should not work hard. No, this is a negative statement. Man should not work. He should work hard, but he should give attention towards himself also. The inner development of a man has been discussed here. So man should not work hard is a misrepresentation of the passage. The great evil of our age is outstrain or overstrain. Overstraining. Now the word has excessive amount of labor. इसके लिए overstrain ये synonym use किया है. So that is a correct statement actually. Because the reason man is not giving importance to self-improvement, the reason is he is not finding time. Why he is not finding time? Because he is doing excessive amount of labor, which can be termed as overstrain. So this statement is correct. Man cannot think well. No. Man cannot care for his spiritual. He does care, but he is not getting time. Man does not seek self-improvement. Man does not seek self-improvement. Because, why he is not seeking self-improvement? Because he has no time to do so. It is explained here. He finds it very difficult to spend his little leisure. He is getting very little leisure. He is getting very little time. That is why he finds it very difficult to spend his little leisure in serious activities. Self-improvement is a serious activity. For that he is not getting enough time. For that he is not getting enough time. So answer should be option number B. He has no time to do so. Right? सो 42 का आंसर है बी. नेक्स्ट पैसेज. Question number 43. The demographic dividend, concept from economy, which has begun in India and is expected to last another few decades, and is expected to last another few decades, is a great window of opportunity. The demographic dividend is basically a swelling in the working age population, which conversely means that the relative ratio of very young and very old will for a while be on the decline. From the experience of Ireland and China, we know that this can be a source of energy and an engine of economic growth. The demographic dividend tends to raise a nation's savings rate, since in any nation it is the working age population that is the main saver. And since the saving rate is an important driver of growth, this should help elevate our growth rate. However, the benefits of demographic dividend depend on the quality of the working age population, and this implies bringing back the importance of education, acquisition of skills and human capital. So demographic dividend का क्या फायदा होता है, और कुछ एग्जाम्पल भी दिए आयरलैंड और चाइना. And in India right now, demographic dividend which has begun in that is expected to last another few decades. Demographic dividend means what? The proportion of working population is more than the proportion of old or young people. So let's check the question. Which of the following would invariably happen in a country when the demographic dividend has begun to operate? Which of the following would invariably happen in a country when the demographic dividend has begun to operate? First option, the number of illiterate people will decrease. There is no relation between demographic dividend and literacy, right? So this is wrong. The ratio of very old and very young will decrease for a while. See, old divided by young. Ratio of old and young, right? Now demographic dividend in itself means that younger population is more. So if denominator is more, that ratio is going to decrease. So second statement is correct. Population growth rate will quickly stabilize. That is not also implied in the passage. There is no relation between population growth and demographic dividend. So only option number B, that is 2 only. Option number 2 is correct. Other two options are wrong. Question number 44. With reference to the passage, which of the following inferences can be drawn? First inference, demographic dividend is an essential condition for a country to rapidly increase its economic growth rate. Now it is an important, if you have demographic dividend, if it is operating in your nation, then that's fine. It is going to be useful. But it is not an essential condition for a country to rapidly increase its economic growth. Japan doesn't have a demographic dividend as India, but it is flourishing for years now. So this statement is wrong. Promotion of higher education is an essential condition for a country for its rapid economic growth. पैसेज में सिर्फ एजुकेशन मेंशन किया है, ठीक है, पैसेज में सिर्फ एजुकेशन मेंशन किया है. सो प्रमोशन ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन इज एन इसेंशियल कंडीशन फॉर अ कंट्री फॉर इट्स रैपिड इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ, कैन नॉट बी इन्फर्ड. यहाँ पे अगर सिर्फ एजुकेशन होता तो ये इन्फ्रेंस हम निकाल सकते थे. सो नीदर वन नॉर टू, नीदर वन nor 2. Next passage, question number 51. In an economic organization allowing mankind to benefit by the productivity of machines, in an economic organization allowing mankind to benefit by the productivity of machines should lead to a very good life of leisure, and much leisure is apt to be tedious, except to those who have intelligent activities and interests. If a leisured population is to be happy, it must be an educated population. and must be educated with a view of enjoyment as well as to the direct usefulness of technical knowledge. ठीक है, इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ हो गया मतलब मशीन्स का यूज बढ़ गया, मशीन्स का यूज बढ़ गया, सो लोगों को जो लेजर टाइम मिलता है, देयर इज इंक्रीज इन द लेजर टाइम. बट if that population is not educated, then they cannot enjoy or they cannot be happy during that leisure time. To be happy in that leisure time, that population must be educated population, and that population must be educated with a view to enjoyment as well as to the direct use. उसको technical acumen भी बढ़ा हुआ, मतलब increased technical acumen is required them to be happy enough. ये इस पैसेज का थीम है. सो विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स, रीड द क्वेश्चन, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स बेस्ट रिफ्लेक्ट्स द अंडरलाइंग टोन ऑफ द पैसेज. Which of the following statements best reflects the underlying tone of the passage? Look at the options. Look at the options. First option, only an educated population can best make use of the benefits of the economic progress. Now, here the mention is educated population can make good use of leisure time, right? But leisure time उनको क्यों मिला है? Because of the economic growth. Economic growth की वजह से machines का use बढ़ गया, उसकी वजह से leisure time मिल गया. So that is the correct statement. Only an educated population can best make use of the benefits of economic progress. Second option was all economic development should be aimed at the creation of leisure. No. Creation of leisure is a byproduct. It is not the main aim. An increase in the educated population of a country leads to an increase in the happiness of its people. Now there is conflict between option A and option C. Use of machines should be encouraged in order to create a large leisured population. Creating large leisured population is not aim of any economic growth. So option number 4 is also wrong. Option A or option C, in दोनों में से A, this question is bound to have a conflict because of the subjectivity. First option also seems right, third option also seems right, but first option is right according to me because it is very well related to the passage. Economic progress ये भी related point है और educated population ये भी relevant point है. Only an educated population can best make use of the benefits of economic progress. Leisure time ये economic progress का एक benefit है और उसका ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा best use कौन कर सकता है? Educated population. That's why according to me the answer must be A only. Question number 52. I'll read the passage. If presents bring less thrill now that we are grown up, perhaps it is because we have too much already, or perhaps it is because we have lost the fullness of the joy of giving, and with it the fullness of the joy of receiving. Children's fears are poignant, their miseries are acute, but they do not look too forward nor too far backward. Their joys are clear and complete, because they have not yet learned always to add but to every proposition. Perhaps we are too cautious, too anxious, too skeptical. Perhaps some of our cares would shrink if we thought less about them and entered with more single-minded enjoyment into the happiness that come our way. It is little philosophical passage. It talks about the happiness and what we have lost along that time. We don't behave like children. Children don't think about past and future, but we do. That is why the start of the passage is related to giving gifts. If presents, that means gifts, bring less thrill. We now that we are grown up. Perhaps it is because we have too much already. Either we have too much, or perhaps it is because we have lost fullness of the joy of giving and receiving. But children still get very excited and happy after receiving or giving gifts. So let's check the questions. Question number 52. With reference to the passage, which one of the following statements is correct? Option number A. Option number A is, it is not possible for adults to feel thrilled by presents. It is not possible. Extreme statement. Right now, we are not getting thrilled after receiving or giving presents, but it is not at all possible. ऐसा कह सकते कि हम नहीं, ये extreme statement है, इसलिए ये incorrect है. There can be more than one reason why adults feel less thrilled by presents. This is right, because see, if present bring less thrill, इसके reasons दिए, because perhaps it is because we have too much already, or perhaps it is because we have lost the fullness of the joy of giving. There have been given more than one reasons. There can be more than one reason why adults feel less thrilled by presents. So passage में दो तीन reasons दिए, so this statement is correct. The author does not know why adults feel less thrilled by presents. Actually, author does know. He has given the reasons and solution also. So this is wrong. Adults have less capacity to feel the joy of loving or being loved. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Adults can also feel that joy. So only option number B is correct. The author of the passage is against worrying too much about the past and future. Yes, because he had said himself, children don't look too back or too forward. They live in the present. So worrying too much about the past and future, author is against it. Being in the habit of thinking about presents, not being thrilled by new things. Actually, he wants you to be thrilled by new things. Giving and receiving joy only partially. No. So author is against worrying too much about the past and future. Option number A. Next passage, question number 61. I'll read the passage. The majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are generally easily influenced by the opinions of others. They permit the newspapers and the gossiping neighbors to do their thinking for them. Opinions are the cheapest commodities. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on the earth. Everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be wished upon by anyone who will accept them. If you are influenced by opinions, when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking. जो लोग हैं, majority of people fail to accumulate wealth, and they succumb to the possibility of getting influenced by the opinions of others, right? Opinions are the cheapest commodities. If you are influenced by opinions, when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking. उसका कुछ फायदा नहीं होगा if you are influenced by opinion. This is the theme of this passage. Which one of the following is implied by the passage? Question number 61. Option A. Most of the people do not accumulate money for their needs. Read the first statement. Majority of the people fail to accumulate money. Fail to accumulate. और ऑप्शन ए क्या कहता है? Most of the people do not accumulate. Actually they try but they fail. So first option is wrong. Most of the people never fail to accumulate money. Actually they fail. So never word negates that statement. So this is wrong. There are people who fail to accumulate money for their needs. Yes, there are majority of people. So there are people who fail to accumulate money for their needs. There is no need to accumulate money. ऐसा कहीं पे भी कहा नहीं है. Right? we should not use our perceptions, our opinions. We should be loyal to the given passage only and the author. 62. What is the main idea of the passage? Option A, people should not get influenced. Yes, people should not be influenced by the opinions of the others. That's what the passage says. Let's check why other options are wrong. Option number B, people should accumulate as much money as they can. That is not the purpose of this passage. People should neither give nor accept the opinions. That is not the crux of the passage. People tend to give opinions. That is the fact. People will succeed in any undertaking if they do not accept any opinion at all. No, that is a extreme statement. Avoid extremities, right? So only option number A is correct. Next passage, a smaller passage, and question number 63. The social order is a sacred right which is the basis of other rights. Social order is a sacred right which is the basis of all other rights. Nevertheless, this right does not come from nature and must therefore be founded on conventions. Founded on conventions. Social order is the basis. Social order is the basis of all other rights. Social order in itself is a sacred right of every citizen. And if there is social order, then there will be all other rights. Nevertheless, this right does not come from nature. So sources of rights are different. Sometimes nature, conventions, constitution, political structure, culture, these are all sources for your rights. There are different types of rights. So nature is not the social order is not founded on nature. It is founded on conventions. It is not a natural right, but it is based on the social order. It is based on the conventions. Social order is based on convention and all other rights are based on social order. Right? Now let's check the question. With reference to the above passage, which of the following statements are true? First, conventions are the sources of rights of man. Now there are different types of rights. Conventions are the sources for few of them, not all of them. So this is not entirely correct. Rights of man are different. There are different types of rights of a man and there are different sources, not only conventions. So this is not entirely correct. Rights of a man can be exercised only when there is a social order. Now this is debatable, but I think this is a right statement. Why? Because it is said social order is the basis of all other rights. Social order is the basis of all other rights. If this is the basis, if this base doesn't exist, or if this base is weak, then how all other rights can exist? So rights of man can be exercised only when there is a social order is a correct statement. Again, this one is also debatable question. According to me, only option number 2, that is B, is correct. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Only 2. Question number 71. Let's see the passage. To encourage research is one of the functions of a university. To encourage research is one of the functions of a university. Contemporary universities have encouraged research not only in those cases where research is necessary, but on all sorts of entirely unprofitable subjects as well. Scientific research is probably never completely valueless. Never completely valueless. Scientific research is probably never completely valueless. However silly and insignificant it may seem, however mechanical and unintelligent the labors of the researchers, there is always a chance that the results may be of value to the investigator of talent, who can use the facts collected for him by uninspired but industrious researchers as the basis of some fruitful generalization. But where research is not original but consists in the mere rearrangement of existing materials, where its object is not scientific but literary or historical, then there is a risk of the whole business becoming merely futile. साइंटिफिक रिसर्च के बारे में डिस्कशन क्या है कि यूनिवर्सिटी का काम ही है, दे इनकरेज रिसर्च, और जो साइंटिस्ट है वो दे डोंट वर्क ऑन द केसेस विच वेयर रिसर्च इज नेसेसरी बट ऑन ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ एंटायरली अनप्रॉफिटेबल सब्जेक्ट, जो हमें एंटायरली अनप्रॉफिटेबल लग सकता है, उन सब्जेक्ट पे भी वो रिसर्च करते हैं, राइट. However silly and insignificant may seem, mechanical and unintelligible the labors of the researcher, there is always a chance that the results may be of value to the investigator of talent. जो talented investigator है उसके लिए कोई भी research valueless और useless नहीं है, उसके लिए it has some value. The results may be of value to the investigator of talent. ठीक है. So question देखते हैं. The author's assumption about scientific research is that it is never very valuable. No. It is never very, any research is valuable to the researcher. It is sometimes very valuable. ऐसे भी हम कह नहीं सकते. It is never without some value. Now look at the wording in the passage. The results may be of value. The results may be of value to the investigator. It always has some value. So इसका नेगेटिव क्या हो सकता है? It is never without some value. It is never without some. That means it always have some value. So that is a correct statement. It is always very. It is extreme statement. So this is also wrong. So option number C is correct. Option number C is correct. Next question. According to the author, not many research results can be of value to an intelligent investigator. Not many research results can be of value. Actually, every research results can be of some value to the investigator. So this is wrong statement. This is a negative statement. A research result is always valuable to an intelligent investigator. Any research result can be of value to an intelligent investigator. Any research result can be of some value to an intelligent investigator is a right statement. Fourth is, a research result must always be, must, there should not be any compulsion. Must represents compulsion. That's why this is wrong. So option number C is correct. Any research has some value. Scientific research is probably never completely valueless. ये भी एक statement है, और दूसरा statement है, the results may be of value. The results may be of value to the investigator of talent. To the investigator of talent. That means intelligent investigator, right? So that's why option C is correct. This is the last passage and this is the last question actually. Question number 73. Just read the passage. I think it is visible to you. how best can the problems of floods and droughts be addressed so that the losses are minimal? Floods and droughts, problems of floods and droughts be addressed so that the losses are minimal and the system becomes resilient. In this context, one important point that needs to be noted is that India gets too much water. India gets too much water, that is about 75% of annual precipitation during 120 days, June to September, and too little for the remaining 245 days. For the remaining 245 days. This skewed water availability has to be managed and regulated. This skewed water availability has to be managed and regulated for its consumption throughout the year. So, regarding the water availability and how it should be managed, that discussion is given in the passage. Let's see the question. Which one of the following best reflects the practical, rational and lasting solution? Practical, rational and lasting solution. The solution regarding this given problem, we have to decide. There are 4 solutions. So these solutions are not mentioned in the passage. We have to think about it. But the criteria has been given that this solution must be practical, rational and lasting. So first solution is constructing huge concrete storage tanks and canals along the country. Huge concrete storage tank. Now we want practical, rational and lasting solution. This is not a lasting solution. Huge concrete storage tanks is it requires much resources, monetary and otherwise. So this is not very practical. Changing the cropping patterns and farming practices. This is one of the solution, but it will take much time. So this is also wrong. Interlinking of rivers across the country. It is a very huge project. It has been being discussed for now, for many years now. So is it practical or rational? Interlinking of rivers. If you are studying environment or geography, then you will come to know that it is not very rational solution. Buffer stocking of water through dams and recharging aquifers. Buffer stocking of water through dams. Now problem is what? While managing the water, we have major precipitation in 120 days and less during remaining 245 days. If we carry out buffer stocking of water through dams, okay, there are multiple dams, we can build some more. So that is practical and rational option. And recharging aquifer. Aquifer means what? The layer of land where groundwater is stored. Where groundwater. So recharging aquifers is a very lasting option, you can say, lasting solution. So option number D is right. Buffer stocking of water through dams. That means it will solve your day-to-day lives water shortage problem. And recharging aquifers, it will be a sustainable option because groundwater depletion is a major problem we are facing. Recharging aquifers means we are increasing the level of groundwater. So that is the correct option, option number D. So these are the 27 questions from this year's CSAT paper. I hope I have managed to explain it well and you have got all the answers. So these are the selections in UPSC CSE 2021 from our institute. UPSC CSE 2021 result. These are the successful candidates and their ranks have been given. Our new batch has started from 26th May. Medium of instruction is English as well as Marathi and duration is 1 year. If you are preparing for next year's IS exam, UPSC exam, then you are very much welcome in our institute. It is one of the best place where you can get a very competent faculty as well as the required knowledge and the way out to crack the exam. So these are some features given. You can read these features, and the fee structure is very less as compared to other institutes. The medium is offline as well as online, right? So this batch has started 26 May. You are welcome to join anytime. And we are conducting, those who have given this year's preliminary exam and who are hoping for the result, they can join our UPSC CSE mains test. This test is starting from 12th June and the price is 12,000. These are few features of the test: coverage of whole syllabus, focus on answer writing content, structure, presentation, comprehensive strategy and approach, evaluation by expert faculties, and detailed discussion offline and online also. The medium here also will be English and Marathi also. This test series is being conducted under the able guidance of Bhushan Deshmukh sir. Yes. So I hope I have covered every question from CSAT paper in the 2 videos. Yesterday I have covered questions from quant and reasoning. Today we have seen the questions from comprehension also. If you have any questions, please mention in the comments. I'll be happy to answer you. So that's it from me today. I hope you all the best and keep studying, keep smiling.